if you're working a lot with WebFOCUS, you might know one thing that I personally don't like, and maybe you don't like either. So let me go to the metadata management. So I'm going to my metadata, I'm going to my retail samples, and we're going to go to WF retail. So whenever I work with metadata in WebFOCUS, I have that preview pane in here, which automatically tries to preview my data, which is nice in some circumstances. But if I want to do tons of changes in here, so let's say I want to create a new calculation here. So let's do a new uh, calculation in here. So we're going to add that calculation. We're going to go for the fields in the database, and we're going to create that new file in here where we're just going to say, actually, hey, I want to go for that field and I want to pick up something from the measures. So let me go for the measures. So I want to go for something like my revenue, and I gonna basically just simply deduct my cost from here. So I'm gonna go for cost of good. So it's gonna be my net revenue. So I got a new field. Of course, it's not to be A20, it's D22. So I'm gonna keep that field. I can validate my formula in here. So I got it. I know it's correct. It's working. Click OK. And you see it's doing a new preview and it's adding my net value field so I can see the values. Actually, I don't need that one. If I want to see values, if I want to test values, I can always go to preview data here, to sample data here. So I can select net revenue and do some preview here to verify. I don't want to get that constantly changing thing here, constantly previewing my data. To get rid of that one, that's quite straightforward. So the only thing you have to do is, if you're an administrator, you can go to the configuration of the system. You're going to go in the server workspaces. You're going to go into the configuration of the system. There's the setting, and there's the setting for web console preferences. And the one thing you want to do, actually, which I usually do all the time whenever I work with the system, whenever I work with WebFOCUS, that's my first thing. If I configure a system, I usually go to the data assist thing, and there's a setting called run on change, auto run on change. So I always set that one to do not run on change. So you can save it. It's going to be the default for your whole system. So actually now it's there. I have to sign out once because it's only going to be only in effect if I re-sign in. So now I got my setting applied. So whenever I now go to my data, so I'm going to go back to my retail sample data. I'm going to take my WF retail and I'm going to open it up here. There's not going to be any preview at all in here anymore. So there's no auto preview. So if I create a new field now in here, new expression, advanced expression, let's make it quite simple here. So let's just add some fixed text here. So that one is going to be called test. So very stupid thing. We can validate it again. It's validated. So I can OK, I can accept it. And it's not going to do any preview. I can still, of course, right click on it, and I can go through sample data if you want to see any preview, but I'm not constantly running any previews in the tool whenever I don't need that preview. That's actually one of my favorite settings, one of the favorite things that I always do in WebFOCUS.